Hey folks, welcome to Boardgame Corner. I'm Mark.
And I'm Randy.
This week, we're diving into the dungeon looking for that loot.
Looterz is brought to you by Cool Mini or Not. It plays 2 to 6 players, ages 14 and up, and it plays in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Great, well let's see if we can be the first to grab the most loot. A legendary dungeon, full of gold and treasure, has suffered an unexpected turn of events. The big, bad-breathed, and very evil dragon that lived there got bored and decided it was time to stretch his wings. He moved far away from the dungeon, and as soon as this news spread across the land, looters from all over the kingdom ran as fast as they could to pillage the easiest dungeon ever found. No glory, no blood, only loot. Only one little problem remains. There's too little loot for all these raiders. Can you be the first to amass enough loot to enjoy a life of comfort without any concern for glory at all before the dragon comes back? Okay, set up the game by dealing 3 cards to the start player. Yes, the start player only gets 3. And 4 cards to each other player. Then the draw pile goes into the middle of the table. This is known as the inn. The discard pile is the graveyard. Set the dice, life, and loot tokens all within reach of all players. So your goal is to collect more loot than your fellow looters. How much loot to win? Well, that really depends on the number of players. For a 2-player game, it is 15. 3 to 4 is 10, 5 to 6 is 7, but really, you can set it to anything you want it to be. Beginning with the starting player, each player takes their turn, which is divided into 4 phases. To start, we have the first recruitment phase. You have 2 options in this phase. You can recruit 1 looter to the table, or you can draw 1 card. When you recruit a looter, you simply play a card from your hand and place it face up in front of you. You place the corresponding life tokens on or next to the card. Or, again, you can choose to draw a card instead. Take 1 and only 1 from the draw pile. Some of the looters have special recruitment powers, like the goblin. You draw 1 card or steal 1 loot from the opponent with the most loot, and that happens when you recruit them to the table. The vampire. You may deal 1 wound to any other looter in play and place a life token on the vampire. The executioner. Reveal the top card of the draw pile. You must either recruit it or discard it. So there are a lot of possibilities when you recruit looters to the table. Haha, the dungeon phase. Now the fun begins. This is where you get to explore the dungeon. So each looter you have in play on the table gets 1 action. And there are 3 available actions. Search for loot, attack, or use a special ability. And you can activate your looters in any order you choose. Searching for loot is easy. You roll as many dice as your looter has life tokens. For each die that rolls equal to or below the looter's power level, the power level is located in the top right corner of the card, you then receive 1 loot token. Attacking truly allows you to attack another looter on the table or in the dungeon, even your own. First declare who you are attacking, then roll your dice, and again equal to the number of life tokens you have available. And much like searching for loot, you want to roll equal to or lower than your power level. Some looters are lucky enough to know a special ability. If your looter has text with the words activation in front of it, you can use that ability as that looter's action. You don't need to roll any dice, just follow the instructions on the card. Okay, let's take a look at some of the activation possibilities. The thief, he may steal 1 loot from the opponent with the most loot. The alchemist can destroy all looters in play, including the alchemist. The assassin destroys any 1 looter in play. And the cleric, you may place 1 life token on any looter or 2 tokens on any frog. After each of your looters has taken their dungeon actions, it's time for your second recruitment phase. This phase is exactly like the first recruitment phase. Imagine that. Recruit only one looter to the table or draw one card. Okay, there are looters that have reaction abilities as well. So, like the Death Knight here, he has Taunt. When any attack or effect targets any of your looters, the enemy must choose a looter with a Taunt, which is pretty slick actually. And then he also has Last Wish, which is when they go to the graveyard, this is their last ditch effort to do anything. And then look at the Frog. On his Last Wish, you can draw 2 cards. And there's a few other cards like this as well. Some of the looters have abilities that are ongoing while they are in play, and they affect the entire game. So like the King. When the King is in play, looters cannot search or steal loot, including my looters or your looters. And when you use the Monk can never attack another player. There are several other cards that are like this. And finally, the sacrifice phase. If you have more than 3 looters in play, then you must sacrifice the additional looters to the graveyard. You can never have more than 3 looters in play at the end of your turn. And you also cannot have more than 10 cards in your hand at the end of your turn. All extras are sent to the graveyard. Okay, so the game ends immediately if you have the amount of loot necessary to win. All right, what do we think of this little card game? You know, I first played this at the Cool Mini or Not Expo in 2016, and I really liked it. It has a lot of take that.
It does, yeah.
And so that's one thing. If you don't like take that in games, you should stay away.
If you have a highly sensitive group of people or kids that don't want to be smacked down by each other.
There is plenty of that. But the nice thing is that the game plays so quick that you can play multiple games and get back at each other. So if you don't mind that, that's really the only downside, I think, for like accessibility,
and
I would say.
To some extent, it's mitigated by the fact that you're really not smacking down each other. You're smacking down each other's characters.
You are, yeah, exactly. And you have multiple characters in front of you, and sometimes you're sacrificing those characters.
Yes, that's true.
Because you're just using them to get loot, and then, oh, you're out.
Yeah, so don't get too attached.
Yeah, don't get too attached. And then I like how there's characters on the board that shut down everybody, right?
Right.
And you're like, we got to get rid of that. That's pretty fun. So, and I really, really like the artwork. It's super cool, super whimsical, really fun. So it tries to keep that lightheartedness, even with the really backstabbiness of this game.
Now this is a cool mini or not game, and there aren't really what you call cool minis.
Right.
But they do a good job with the components. It's above average, significantly above average for a card game. Like you said, the artwork is comical and whimsical. But they also, I haven't seen those little heart tokens before, and they could have just provided simple counters. But the fact that they have little raised hearts.
The nice thing is that these are out of the Arcadia Quest stuff.
Oh, I did not know that. So they have leveraged them. Okay, that's very cool.
But I mean, it's a great tie-in. I like it a lot.
And good dice, you should appreciate those.
Yep, I do indeed. And a card game with dice, oh yeah, I'm sold. You know, come on. But I just like the round, and I really like too how the cards chain, right? You can have abilities that build upon others.
Yeah, and that's important for people to understand is there is a strong tactical element, not what you necessarily call a strategic element of it.
Right, totally.
And so some people who are looking for a more strategic game like Oh My Goods or something like that maybe wouldn't be as interested in this. But
this is really just a romp.
It's a light game. It's easy to teach. It's easy to play. It's quick to play. It's a good filler in the sense that before everybody shows up for game night, you know, you're still waiting for people to show up. It gets to the table quickly. It's easy to teach. Yeah. But the other thing about it is the fact that there's enough variation in the cards. There's also good replayability. And as you said, the chaining part, as you play multiple times, you start recognizing, hey, these things work well together.
Right, exactly. And that's something really to look out for, because there's things you can do, like retrieving stuff from the graveyard and all that. It's pretty crazy. So, you know, it just really was a fun time for me, and I like take that games, you know, and plus the dice thing. So I find it really fun. I have to tell a story too, because at Cool Mini or Not Expo, I sat down to play this with Tom and Rodney, and I think Pep was there too. So I may or may not have inadvertently caused Rodney to win that game. So it was a lot of fun. We were just, all of us were hacking back and forth and attacking each other. And I think that's the thing. You have to, it's not just, I mean, you could just roll and try to get loot every time, but I think there's definitely strategic things about going after the other people to stop them from doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's very key who you're choosing to attack and whether you're choosing to get loot.
It really is.
One of the complaints I have, though, is that because there is significant luck in the game, not only in what you roll, but also in what you draw, you can find yourself, it's like, okay, on your turn, you think you got it made, and you're at like 6 coins out of 10, and this other guy's at 5 coins out of 10, and then gets around to somebody else, and boom, 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 boom. Wait, they went from 5 to 10? How did that happen? Yeah, and it was totally unforeseen.
It's very swingy.
Yes,
I would say very swingy based on those dice rolls. But, like I said, it's short.
It is short.
So you can get multiple games, bam, bam, bam.
Exactly. So in some ways, it's the journey, not the destination, because
true.
Each turn is a reward in itself, just having fun playing.
Yeah. And it is easily one of my favorite little card games, just because there's more to it than just cards, right?
Yeah.
And that whole quick nature really makes me want to play this, because I can quickly pull it out and we just get a game in, you know?
Yep.
So I'm going to give this one a pretty solid 3.0 out of 4 corners.
Wow, we are synergistic these days.
All right.
I'm also giving it 3.0 out of 4 quarters.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice, light little game. It'll be a lot of fun for people.
Right.
Not for the people wanting a deep strategic game, but it's a game that you can carry with you in your backpack or in your luggage when you're traveling, and it's just fun to pull out and play for a little bit.
And I think pretty universal, everyone we've played it with has had a pretty good time.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was like, well, let's not play that again. This really pretty much resonated across our groups.
Yeah, but we also have a group that they don't mind take that.
No, they don't mind take that. And again, that's the one thing. If you don't like that in games, you should probably not look at this one. But for me, it's something I really enjoy, and it's just lighthearted and fun anyway. So, what do you think? Anything else?
Nope. I think that if you get a chance to play it, you certainly should.
Yes, definitely. All right, folks. So that's our review. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.